Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 57, 5 versus 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 2. I am joined by my regular co-hosts TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Dagger is not able to join us today. Some minor flooding trouble at the house. So once that's squared away, I'm sure he'll be back with us. But real pleasure to be with you guys. I went 1 and 2 this week. Got a bit skunked. Yeah, it was some testing gone awry, but good lessons as always. TJ, how about you? What's a good
Went
word?
2-1. It was not too shabby, man. I fought our guildmate. The only loss I got was against our guildmate. But I actually got some really cool comp ideas off of him, and then got to put into practice, and it went great. So sucks I went 2-1, but happy with the result and the stuff I got to learn.
Dig that, dig that. Sasha, how about you?
It was a fun week. Limited action again. I only had one real match, but I went 3-0. I got a chance to face Zid, who's been on with us before, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun to play. So, and had some fun learnings from that. But yeah, that was the entirety of my week.
All right, fair enough. And Fatal, how about you? How did the week go?
It was kind of a non-starter. I was kind of more in Dagger scam this week. I like, I think I only got to stream one of them, and the one that I got to stream was like also kind of a non-starter. I only had like 45 minutes or something to play. It wasn't like, I don't know, just had a lot of stuff going on outside the game. The one that I did win was just kind of a 20-minute like, all right, I just gotta knock this out like right now because I literally do not have a computer in my house. Type beat.
Yeah, it sucks when real life gets in the way of my phone video game. I sympathize. I really do.
It was kind of there was enough signs of life on defense too that it was enough to be like a little bit bummed out too of
Yeah.
like there was easy potential if things just went normally.
Sorry to hear about that, man. Better luck this week. Things a little more stable for you.
Uh yeah, there's still work to be done, but I should be roughly back to normal.
All right.
I'm
Dig that.
talking on a new computer now. Courtesy of Micro Center.
Yeah. I hope you post your specs somewhere. I'd like to see that because I'm pricing out a rig myself for later this year. I was thinking to try and pick something up around Cyber Monday. We'll see.
I had those Intel issues, and for some reason, Micro Center told me bring your processor, your motherboard, and your RAM, and we'll take care of you. And I was like, I don't know why you're giving me this, but thank you.
Yeah. I'm not affected by the issue, but I think it's I don't know why they would cover it because it's in parts that are years and years old now. But maybe they're
Every
covering it
single
as a
step of the
defect.
way, every single step of the way, employees were like, Why? This seems weird. Why are they giving you this?" And the
Yeah,
guy was walking around with me saying, "Thomas approved it," and they were like,
bank error in your
"Okay."
favor. Collect $200. All right.
It was the equivalent of multipass. It was just Thomas
Yeah.
approved it. Let me through. You must obey.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it all worked out. Yeah, because that's an expensive thing to fix. All
Yeah,
right.
I technically would have been given money if I didn't like buy a new CPU fit.
Oh, nice. You did. Is that just manufacturer stuff, or did you spring for some in-house warranty?
No, like they were being so nice to me that I bought a warranty just to give them a little bit of commission because I literally would have walked out with like $50 otherwise.
Okay. Hey, again, good planning, I guess.
Shout out to Micro Center. It's good sometimes.
I live near a Micro Center. I like them a lot. I usually build my computers. This current computer I've been using since 2017 is the first prefab I ever bought because I priced out what it would be to build it, and I couldn't build it for what it cost to buy it from them. No complaints. So yeah, shout out free plug for Micro Center. They've been good to me. That's fair. All right, meta analysis, folks. Segment 1, matchups of the week. TJ, how what would you say is your highlight matchup? I didn't call out any particular GLs, but I wanted to go ahead and say that we would want to talk about how Luthen and Enoch were used, or how you saw them, how you applied them, and then we'll kind of go from there. But what do you got to say about those guys? I guess.
I mean, honestly, I got to see a lot. I don't want to steal from anybody's thunder. Arnold did a lot of cool stuff. I watched him try to do, and he even called it out, but he got to try Enoch against Ray. So you need to go watch his video on it, stuff like that. And then also he did Luthen against Gungans. I think Fatal, you talked about that in one of our conversations, if I'm not mistaken, about the application of what it can do. But getting to see in practice was cool. Other than that, dude, it's so frustrating. Is like you have this great toy and you just don't know where to place them, and that's what I felt like this week with these brand new toys. Fatal scared me off my Enoch hump. So, because Fatal knows Fatal stuff, and I'm like, well, that's going to be a play, but it's like, so didn't get to do
I do feel
anything else.
vindicated. It was mostly the stuff like Zora. So.
But and it's like, I knew it wasn't going to go really on defense, right? I think we can all agree on that. But it was like application on offense was what was driving me nuts because it seems like such a good application to do something, but you're also ripping apart your DT and G team. And that's where it's like, if you really want to hold something, DTMG is just going to do better. And actually, that's one of my really good setups was it took 57 or something like that against the Malgus on round 3. So it's like, and that I feel good. But other than that, if you want to go meta and where I was at with my favorites, it was getting to play with the Rolo. And damn you, Fatal, for calling it out. And then Anna, of course, videoing it. And now it's obviously on its way out. But getting to do that on Jabba was a lot of fun. That was my favorite matchup, and so cool to see and get to play with. No Leia's this week to mess with it, but didn't matter.
Okay, well, hey, I appreciate that. Sasha, how about you? What do you got to say about Luthen and Enoch this week?
So this week with Luthen, I was really tempted to use him with Mon Mothma, but I on offense, and I just couldn't settle on a desirable target that seemed realistic to expect from Zid on defense. So I just threw it with Saw, threw Luthen with Saw, and support Kron. And I'll take a quick look, but I did not get a hold, but it fell to a CLS squad. So and that seems to be like kind of a natural predator for it. That even with Correx, I had Correx in the squad. That presumably, if you just pressure down Correx and prevent the AOE days from getting out there, you can take that down. So that's what I did with Luthen. And on Enoch, I'd set C in the back zone and considered throwing Enoch there as kind of insurance against like an Aphra, just to take all the non-GL crit risk out. But decided against that and ended up moving it to really like a kind of Night Sister influenced DTMG squad. So I did Dark Trooper Moff Gideon with Night Trooper with Death Trooper Peridia, OG Moff Gideon, and Enoch. It got a 61 against a Malgus counter. No great shakes, but that's kind of where I ended up leaving him. Made sense for the rest of my board and what I was seeing from my opponent.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, even being able to strip as many as 4 banners off of Malgus is pretty good for DTMG, so I'd take that.
Yeah.
All right. Fatal. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've got the well, you would normally have the most to say about this, but given your last week, I think
weirdly enough, I actually have more to talk about from this week than last week, because even though the matches weren't really real, there was still stuff happening. There were still trends in teams, and my defense is still gonna attack. So there's some beat. I mean, this last week was kind of a large experiment for me in more than a few ways, and I'm trying to go back and double check just to see the fate of a couple more teams. But so for example, I posted Puzzle Box C, which is it was Sith Eternal, it was Enoch, it was Sortie, it was Gideon, and it was Sith Marauder. And wait, is this the same? Oh, this is the same round. Hang on, please hold.
That was the composition of the team?
Yep.
The Gideon Enoch combo is a clever one. I like that. You're going to have nerfed non-crit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. The whole sorting marauder thing might be a little bit over-engineered, and it's just like a little too vulnerable. But it does work in some respects if people fall into the trap, and it did to some degree. Like someone tried to set the Eternal Mirror, and they ended up dropping. Now they didn't use Watt, but they're a trench enjoyer, so they get what they fucking deserve.
That is good.
But in another round, an opponent used Grievous. Grievous attacker Kron is quite good right now. That again, like I don't know if Marauder, right? It's a tenacity Marauder with Swordy behind it. So then you also have like the pre-buffs at the beginning. Then you have like a almost 300 tenacity Marauder to kind of try to sit in the pocket with stealth, kind of try to play some shenanigans there. But it's still a work in progress concept. But it did have like some signs of life for like what I would call a very rough first draft.
Okay, but that is a pretty good plug and play use of Enoch, and that is what you were going for. I remember you were saying last week.
Yeah.
How about Luthen? What do you do? Anything good? See anything good?
I posted saw Luthen all 3 rounds. I want to say round 3 he died to Rolo, and yep, that team's pretty cringe. That team should die. Auto basic from turn 0, just free Iowan button. Yeah, not a big fan. That can go away. I'm eagerly awaiting the patch note where I see that shit to die. I'm trying to find it. Okay, I screwed up to some degree because I usually open every round at each tab, but I started to click around within tabs, and I'm just seeing the same round over and over.
Pull you up. Yeah, I got your third week.
Oh, wait, no, I'm not.
Or sorry, your second.
Okay, two people just killed it with Rolo, and then one squad it got a hold again. Oh yeah.
Here's
someone
one of them.
used Trey lead against it, and it actually got timed out on Luthen last standing with Nihilist Crown too.
Dig this! I did that same fight, Treya versus Saw, and yeah, the revival of the self-marking tank can stall you out, but if Savage is just ramping offense the way he should be later on in the fight, he's able to like one or two shot that guy unironically.
Well, my Luthen is Relic 9 and has very high defense and protection, so that could be a possible factor involved in. Because let's see, what did the opponent have? Okay, so yeah, it was largely a defense Chronos to support Kron Nihilus level 9.
I think your call was right though, Fatal. That it's like Zori just eats that up, and I know Dagger said it before too, where it's like, yeah, it may hold something out where it's like you wouldn't want to use that there, but it's like you're also correct when you tell me that it's like, yeah, Zori's beating it up, or I mean, JML is obviously a safe one too, so that's why I had to pull that from defense. It's just because of that, right? It's like it's too easy to numb, and it's like if he kills something, we just don't know what.
That makes sense. For my part, Enoch, I just stuck under DTMG lead on defense. I think I got maybe one round in which there were holds. It held to Malgus, but it's one of those things where my DTMG sometimes would hold to Malgus anyway, so I think it's probably something like Night Trooper, just brapping somebody off. Something like that. But as far as Luthen goes, I did not set Saw, and I did not use Mon Mothma on offense. But what I did do was Saw on offense a couple of times. And I'll say this, I got into a nasty situation with a preloaded Queen Amidala that had Master Qui-Gon down and out of the game. Went back in with this Saw team, and I don't think I finished the fight there, but I think I killed everybody but Pow. Something like that, or everybody but Queen. Something where it was manageable after that. So that was kind of nice, because seeing all of their many, they have a ton of health on them, and just watching all those grenades just pop off. I also think I had a % health light side level 3. So that was fun. I thought that was neat. Before we started recording here... Sorry, go ahead.
Before you move off that one, Sod's grenade, it triggers immediately on Queen Amidala because there's a summon, right?
I believe that's a bug, but yes.
Yeah,
But that bug's still in effect, I think, right?
I think so, yeah, because I used it the next round to no good effect. But yes, that does seem to pop off immediately.
Okay. And then, I don't know, Fatal, if you know this, but it still counts those 15 debuffs per defensive character. I'm assuming it doesn't go it doesn't go from like use of the ability straight to just the detonate. It actually has the 15 and then counts it, I'm guessing, to scale a support cron, right? Do you happen to know?
I don't know for a fact, but I would imagine that it would still have to happen for it to be able to
Right.
on to then check the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, just curious. Thanks.
And I see that, despite having undoubtedly swum through deep waters of the basement to reach us, I see Dagger has somehow managed to join the call. How are you, sir? How are you keeping afloat?
I'm
You're breaking up is what you're doing.
Yeah, he warned us this might happen.
I believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
we all right. Well, you're trying, Dagger. Cut in when you
He's
can.
wrestling gators in his basement.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, brave man here. Got this thing.
What it tells you is if he was getting waterboarded and or a tree fell on a house, he would still be here for the team.
No, he's got his phone wrapped up with an extension cord suspended, from a rafter while he's doing whatever else he's needing to do down there, just shouting at it. All right, Dagger.
And at some point, if he can't talk, I'm still going to help him out. Tash, your hat is dumb. I want to make sure Dagger gets the point across.
That is the assist that Dagger
we do it for the
want.
team. That's how we're one team, man. Your hat's stupid and dumb, and you look funny in it. I think that's what he would say.
That's fair. It's like he's in the room with us even now.
There you go.
That's good. That's good stuff. Anyway, Dagger, feel free to shoot notes into the chat if you're hearing us, but any thoughts you have on the topic list, we're just wrapping up on Luthen and Enoch. I don't know if you did anything cool with either, saw anything cool with either, got any thoughts to share? I believe he is not even attempting to talk right now, so hopefully he heard that and he'll respond in text form. We'll find out.
I know he has one. I'm not going to spoil it for him, but I know he has one he got to use. And it was one I got to try, but it was not created equal. He was destroying LVs as a part of the. I know what he did, which had me like giddy to try to use it for something. So if he gets to come back in, I'd like to hear his story on it. But I know he was killing a GL with it, which was cool.
There you back. Right there.
hear me?
Oh man.
It's going in and out, Dagger.
Yeah, it is. It's not great, bud. No, that ain't working, bud.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Listen as best you can. Type whatever you can to us. We'll be happy to get your comments in, but it doesn't sound like it's gonna hold the voice line for you. Make sure that if you're already doing it, don't watch the video feed. That's taxing your connection too. So, all right. Well, anyways, any thoughts you have on Luthen and Enoch, feel free to share in the chat. And now I want to just move on to the next thing. We've already touched on it tangentially here, but Sortie and Rolo teams. Your tales on that, folks. I guess I can go first. I did have some success with the Sortie team versus QA. What I did find out, though, is even though my Lobot was going first in the fight overall, he was still modded much, much too slow because Queen Amidala gets that free 50% turn meter fed into her. But by the time, when Lobot went to go take his first turn, in the one match I really terribly lost, I noticed that, my Lobot's at 100% turn meter, and their Queen Amidala's at something like 95. So he was just absurdly too slow. He could have been way on out in front of her. He was in like the 260s. Now he's like 305 for week 3. So I hope to have a little better luck with that. But that was a major lesson I learned. And then the Sana team, I kept dicking myself out of Cassian. I feel like you need Cassian in this comp, right? I kept using him with Radis, to good use, but not having it available for Sonolator, so I wasn't really able to try that. How about you, TJ? Your tales of sorting.
I'm going to go offense and then defense if that works.
Please.
Because Dagger gave me a good point of reference when we were going through this, right? Because we faced our guildmate, and he was able to sortie nuke my my Queen Amidala. And then he told me about how his got the hold. And the one piece that I felt like was consistent was the speed on the other characters that were being attached with the Queen Amidala team with the set 15 right now. Feels like the strongest holder or potential.
You said set 15 was holding best 15, to sortie?
15.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And so here's what I've been testing out with the waters, right? RMC, super smart dude. He saw my GK, because that's what I put as the 5th on the team for round 2. He avoided the setup, and then he was able to nuke no problem. So I changed it up round 3, and I see I got a successful hold as well. Well, I had a super fast Shock T, and I had Bad Batch Echo.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And so the one thing I did is I got a super strong hold. He tried Bane, and that failed. Cool. That was a retreat, though, and then he tried the sortie nuke, and that failed. And it's like, okay, so it's like my shock was 260, or whatever it is, 360, whatever. So it was like I was way up there, which helped out. And then my Bad Batch Echo was 373. So the speeds lined up to be super fast because that's what I figured Dagger was doing with his GMY, which got the hold. So for that seemed like it knocked it out. I wasn't set for the nuke, so I didn't get to do it. But to your point, and where I did, Rolo. I did get to do Rolo on Jabba. Our guildmate RMC did it, and I did not need Cassian. It worked just fine with the setup with Chupio CLS. Still needs cracks, right?
Okay.
That's the interjectory part, but I don't need Cassian for that.
I know there's certain applications that do. I just don't know about it. I don't know about them well enough.
Mine, because I've done it with Leia, and I didn't need cracks. So the setup with that, I had another setup that somebody told me about, and I put my good old boy Zeb in there, right? Mm-hmm. So that worked on the Leia setup. This was not Sabine, so I want to comment that out. And then on this one, I just took CLS with Chupio and Krex and killed it, and I did it 2 out of 3, and it was just fine. And as you'll see on my round 2, 65, and then on my round 3, it was 64 because I think I mistook one step, but that's
beautiful.
So it's cool. Yeah, so it's like for me to get to use it. Damn Fatal for knowing about. Fatal was a good man for leaving it alone for as long as he did, and then damn Arnold had to report it out, and now it goes away. It was fun, but also, I mean, come on, we shouldn't be able to do that. So it's like, but am I doing it? Hell yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
I dig that. All right, fair enough. Sasha, how about you? Sortie and Rolo team tales. What do you got to say?
So I did not kind of made the decision not to use either of them. So I didn't use them on O.
Okay.
But I had some other fun things that I wanted to try out. We can get to some of that in a little bit. But let's see. On the defensive side, I did set a C team, as I mentioned, in the back wall that held against the sortie nuke from Zid. So felt good about that. It was a very high defense cron, like 340 or so % defense. And I do think that can be a difference maker, depending on sort of the stats and to some degree the comp of that sortie nuke squad. But so that was the case on defense. And let's see if Rolo was used. Zid did not use Rolo against me. So very little to report there.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Fatal, how about you? Interesting uses of Sortie and Rolo.
My favorite usage was DMing Meathead and saying, hey, this team's a problem and you should delete it. I have zero interest in using it, or I guess it's going to get used against me, and so yeah, it's been like...
You're referring to the Rolo one more than the Sortie one, or what? Or both?
Both.
Both are crap for you. All right, fair.
I don't play Galaxy Heroes to see victory screens. I play because it's fun, and like
Mhm.
pushing 5 buttons and blowing up an enemy team is not really fun or engaging to me. I'm not like yucking anybody's yum, but it's just not what I played the game for. So I'm kind of with Sasha. I'm kind of just
This is bullshit. This is bullshit, Fatal. You should be ashamed. Also, you're right, and it's true. But I still, you're bullshit, and you should be ashamed.
Well, I like that the
yeah.
Shock T thing, at least, if not, Shock T and Echo, I guess, does seem to be best at impeding it. So,
Well,
worth
dude,
knowing.
getting to, I'm sorry. Look, I was all for it. It's a lot of fun to use, and I'll do whatever it is. But I'm gonna shed no love lost that I get to loop somebody on a fight, dude. It's unless you're telling me you can buy the Datacron and everybody can do this stuff like that. It's they're doing something that's intentional, but this is an unintended interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I would give Fiddle his props for not saying something for as long as he did, but it's like it's out in the wild and it's like it's a free win. I'm sorry, I'll use it, but I don't disagree at all with what Fiddle's saying by saying it's like I put it out there because it's not fair. You're investing. It's like taking your investment and shitting on it by doing something like that. So it's like, yeah, it's cool, but you shouldn't be able to loop a GL, dude. They did all that shit to stop it, so come on now.
I think
Droid
that's
Nuke
fair.
is like, it's a partisan 16. But it's fully intended. It is a natural part of the meta that I'm not like, this team's bullshit. It's just, a part of the meta. And I'm pretty much just ignoring it. I didn't bother spending time clocking it. I couldn't run it even if I wanted to. I passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's fair. I think that's a reasonable point of view. I like the idea that if I can make it work and have it work, and first of all, nothing's guaranteed. God knows we see that people failed against Sasha. I failed using it. It's by no means like foolproof, but I guess you can have it set up better. I think it is cool, though, that if you were otherwise going to reserve something very serious for the counter to X team, you get to set something tougher on defense. Tougher defense is more interesting. But it does feel like an exploit. They are looking at it. They haven't put out anything saying it. And each time the community in the last several months has come out and said, hey, what about this or that with a certain Datacron? I don't know how many times they've actually gone in and changed something under the hood. Because I think they generally favor just letting it phase out as opposed to going in and making people feel like the thing that they went for has been altered. I don't know if you guys know any different.
That was the previous comment of, well, it'll only be around for 4 months. When it was specifically
Right.
called out a number of times by their communication managers, it was, well, it'll just go away on its own. You can worry about it later.
Yeah, I'm willing to be told I'm misremembering here, but I'm pretty confident that that every time that we've come to him like this, and this goes back also to the Erodium bug into Kyber 1, they put out a post saying, we know about it, mostly to just get us to stop writing them about it, and then I remember here over a couple issues they've released statements saying, a couple months later something like, we've looked into this and we're fine. But I don't recall them actually changing something big. Anyway, that's fine. Let's see, comments here coming in from Dagger. With his Queen team, he set Grandmaster and Shakti as a 4th and a 5th and turned away a sortie. So, okay, yeah, it seems that Shock is the common thread. No doubt, very fast, Dagger. I got mine over 360. I want to say 361 this week. I mean, we're zooming out here, so we'll hope that works. And then you say that you got the sortie nuke to work every round versus Queen, and sometimes you had to set up a second AoE. But I know Task watched one of them, and there's a fair amount of survival to the team if you need to set up and blow them out again. Yeah, better if you could assign them, support Crom with some reasonable amount of defense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you didn't use the Bad Batch Echo, but you thought about it. You wanted to hinder Bane more. Yes, I have heard that the Shock Echo does better at impeding Bane. And actually, one of you, I just saw that in your history. Somebody tried a Bane first and then followed it up with sortie and bombed both.
Yep.
So nice. That is nice.
And yeah, it feels good that there is, like, I think to your point for the sortie one, that there is a
Might lose power here in a minute, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Everybody's just having problems today. So I think what it is, and what we're going to go through is the reference to there is an intended failure rate that can apply, and you're going to know within your first 30 seconds of it's going to work or you're done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see, other comments here from Dagger. At this point, it's hard to be too mad at the game because the boards are so small. I do agree. I wish they would fix broken interactions. And saying I turned away around. I had a CA arrow like 330 on who? I'm a little less clear on what you're meaning for that. Shock. Oh, okay, yeah. So you had your shock about 330, but that was certainly fast enough to do the job. I got you. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Which? So I get. Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of a riff on the next topic, anyway. So best attack. Well, I think we skipped some people, didn't we? We went to TJ. We went to Sasha. I think we skipped Fatal. No, we covered Fatal. Yeah, no, we covered the circle. Okay, good. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Yeah. Segment 2. Best attack and defense of the week. Dagger, again, get in your notes whenever you can. I'll be sure to rattle off your favorite attack and defense. But TJ, how about you?
Best defense, realistically, like old school Trey. I took the advice, and I think that one was doing a lot of damage. I think there's nuances to the team, but it's like Trey feels super strong again with the setup right now, the defense combo, and people are trying to just take what they would normally take of the Trey, like the C, and then getting hoed out, completely just blasted out.
I can confirm this. In round 1 versus Dr. Payton, he had a Savage lead. So when you say defense, you're meaning both a high defense, set 16 Kron, and Savage lead, which I agree. I got it down to the point where it was C dueling Talon and C lost. So not a huge fan of that. It was pretty strong. Yeah, man. I feel like the power is about to skip out here, man. It's flickering. Oh, I got trees blowing sideways. Ooh, this is gonna be fun,
crazy.
guys.
But yeah. So and I'm looking at RMC. He tried C, and it failed. And he did C set, and I want to say another tank, and then took a tank cron, and that got 8. So it's like, yeah, that feels good, man. That's doing some strong work. Mm-hmm. Other one for favorite attack, the most fun attack for me was the Rolo one. That's cool to use, but again, that doesn't discount what I'm saying by Fatal calling it out. And it's like, but for fun, that was fun. Mm-hmm. Everything else, it's just only because everything else feels done. Everything feels kind of checked and balanced of where it's at. I tried stuff that didn't work for me. Like I tried Mom Mothma with Luthen just to try it out, but relics wise, I wasn't where I needed to be. And then 2, it was against the Gar ISC comp, and man, they blasted a character move 1 or move 2. One was dead, and then I was trying to recover, and there was just no way to recover from it. So that was a lot of fun to try, but bad area.
Fair. Good share there. Well, how about you, Sasha? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
Yeah, so a couple of things were just a little outside the norm. One was looking at stuff to take against Gungans, and what I ended up doing was I really wanted to just use the Padme cron, so I did a Padme lead, Shock, GK snips, and I threw in JKA. It led to a bit of an alternative composition for JMK on offense, but that Padme cron is fantastic. It's about it's not long until it dusts, but it worked pretty darn well. I got like a 61 or something. It's not without some risk, but it worked. And Gungans can still be a bit of a pain in the ass. So that was fun on offense to just mix it up a bit. And find a different comp for JMK. And then on defense, the one that I liked, and it didn't hold, but I just had liked conceptually. It's a little goofy and kind of 11th on my 11 squad defense comp, but I liked setting as Asajj, Morgan, Spirit, Acolyte, and Stormtrooper Han with a Stormtrooper Han cron. And the reason I said, and I have really jacked up the speed on my Morgan. I want to say she's at like 353, and you add Asajj's 30 speed from lead, and your Morgan. Like if somebody goes after this, and I'd seen this in history from a friend of mine that used it as well, was that like if somebody sets even like takes Bad Batch against it with an R9 wrecker, you'll still one-shot the wrecker. And if you're going to go ahead, odds are mid 380s or something, you're going to go ahead of Echo. The first move Morgan makes is the all-in mass assist. And the reason Stormtrooper Han is there, I mean, partly because there's not a particularly attractive Night Sister 5th that doesn't kill an alternate Night Sister squad. But the Stormtrooper Han level 9 DC includes plus 50% offense for the entire squad because in effect, whenever he's at 100% health, as he is to start. So Spirit hits like a tank. Spirit also will. So a couple of things happen. It's the mechanics of the mass assist from Morgan. That mass assist and the same thing gives all 4 of the Night Sister allies frenzy at that point. Spirit, when she hits on her basic with the mass assist, removes 20% of the target's turn meter and gains that much turn meter, meaning I had her relatively fast. She's going to go next and we'll use her special, which triggers the frenzy on everybody else. And so in essence, you're going the 5 first turns in that match. So I say all of this because I just really liked the theory of it as it got one shot by LVGAR ISC.
Yeah, I see.
But that's why I did it.
No, that is a really cool idea. I want this to be a good character, man. I really do.
I know.
I want it. It's so close. I can feel it. All right, daggers. It looks like daggers fading in and out. I believe that. Yeah, just I'm going to keep on going here, guys. Just so you know, though, the skies have become very surprisingly gray, and very tall trees are more sideways than they have otherwise been. So, good stuff. Let's see. Fatal. How about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
Attack-wise,
Yeah.
Again, didn't really get to attack too much. I would also have way more to talk about on the defense end. Attack-wise, I would just say that it was the first week where I was doing Night Sister 3-mans, and it was maybe kind of the first time that I felt a lack of presence of DACA with Attacker Cron giving... And, like, these were close battles. It wasn't like, oh, man, I just got washed. But it was enough that it's like, okay, there's something happening here. And again, the Night Sister versus Jabba is just a very interesting battle line for the season right now. That, I mean, in one of them, it was like the Boba just like happened to lucky resist like 3 or 4 stacks of plague that let him survive, and then he barely took out Marin. That otherwise would have been like a pretty easy takedown. I do think there's something to the idea that I might start trying to sneak some extra health onto Marin, because under the pretense that it's an attacker cron and I should be resisting most detonators, she's not really a risk for detonators, so she's not really a risk for percent health. So I can kind of just achieve some more bulk if I try to sneak it in that way, and then it still kind of achieves that ideal purpose or goal, because health still helps the other units get killed by Jabba deaths, so it still kind of helps you. Because the biggest tension this season is, how do I help Marin survive while also not forcing myself into a timeout scenario?
Yeah, I'm surprised you're wanting to go more in the health direction than increasing armor.
Well, if you increase armor, then you increase the chances that you'll time out. But if you increase health, it potentially helps keep Marin alive without risking the other characters being hard to kill. Right, they'll take more hits, right? You're kind of risking like a Jabba contract. But fundamentally, a lone Jabba will still be able to kill the other 4 characters. Well, potentially 4. but up to 4 characters if they have stacked health, because you're just leaning into Jabba's damage on them anyway. If you stack your armor, I mean, I've run into multiple situations in the past where if you're not careful about your Talzin, like, hey, your Talzin just does not die. Right? Daka can die easily. Asajj can die easily. Talzin does not stack her health in any sort of way that, yeah, you can just reach a rough equilibrium if you just, like, a Datacron, even just having, like, 60% defense can ruin everything for you. Just like, my Mother Talzin literally just cannot die. Type situation. So it really is this tightrope walk that I'm still kind of trying to balance out.
Okay.
No, defense-wise, I shotgunned a lot of stuff, so I can shotgun some stuff here. Ray, I got to scam somebody successfully with a scam that I was pretty... Again, I was kind of choosing
Which round?
violence.
I got you on screen here for your GSC.
I believe it was probably round 2.
Okay. Let's see the scam. All right, there's a JMK drop, Queen drop. Nice, nice. Here's the Ray. All right, let's hear about this scam against Starkiller. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's just Ray Zori, and then you clock JTR to get inspired at the start of Ray's second turn, which happens immediately with Zori. So it's just an instant inspired setup. And I think, man, this was like a fever dream 5 minutes before a lock, like, hot mod swap. And I'm actually a little bit crushed because I forgot that I had homework for this week to, like, actually make it canon in my loadout, and I didn't do that. So I can't actually run this week now. But I, like, tuned the mod setup so that I think I also had Vandor with Lifeblood. And so, yeah, this is basically just, like, if you're a good player, you probably see what I'm trying to do here. You probably see it's kind of bullshit. I mean, Ness puts pressure on Starkiller anyway. But again, I kind of just chose violence for this week, that it's like, I'm just going to put some puzzles up and just see what happens. And I got one. That GTR sure is alive.
Yeah, that is typically the biggest wrinkle, like, historically for Starkiller. I wonder if somebody tried that again on you the next round.
No,
they
that's
didn't.
people just use Malicos.
I was wondering. I saw that opponent failed. They timed out on you using the healer crown. I wanted to do that because I have a banger of a Visas crown with, like, 90% physical damage or something on it, but I wonder, you think your opponent would fare about the same against Attackacron? Because, man, do you get the ship so fast?
I don't think ship really matters here. It would really just come down to inspired removal from JTR, because Attackacron does not really help you hit people that you cannot hit. It just helps you hit more, I guess, something you would hit. Right? It's like you can't, like, double barrel or double AoE or anything like that. It's not like lesser cooldown or whatever.
Makes sense. All right, well, we got some comments here from Dagger. His best attack of the week. Every sortie nuke worked all 3 rounds. It's hilarious to do, but like Fatal said, it's just about seeing the victory screen. Fair enough. Favorite defense. Hoeing people out with my own Queen Amidala, turning away sortie nuke, as I don't think anybody was able to sortie me all week. Also have fun with the storm. They just made my house eat shit. I believe you, man. Yeah. If the sky is going from green to, or from gray to more gray yellow, that's bad, right? Yeah, that feels like that should be bad. So we'll find out. All right, next item on the agenda: thoughts on Ezra. So I know Dagger, or I know Fader was mentioned here just before we started recording that later today, still we're looking for set 17. Datacron set 17 notes to be released. But until that arrives, we're all just twiddling our thumbs, and we can at least talk about the new Ezra that was released. I know, Fatal, you had a stream yesterday breaking it down. I was there live. You got a quick notes. Anything you want to share about your early summary impressions?
It's really kind of in this limbo right now where this is the character that is largely built for these Spectres under GL Ahsoka Tano wearing a white robe. And to that degree, obviously, I can't really speak to it, but there is some fun stuff happening here because even though we assume he's going with Ahsoka, you maybe ask, like, well, there's a world where like maybe she's gonna try to bridge like Jedi and Ufus together, and that might be kind of fun. But that's all like speculation. It's kind of literally just a waste of time because anything could happen. So looking at what we've got right now and looking at dynamics, right? It's like, okay, so with Jedi Knight Revan, we already know from like literally just like heroic Sith rate, it's like, okay, I can swap to somebody who's isolated. So I could already like, if I wanted to use Ezra under JML, right? I could have Ezra put himself to 30 stack and then JKR swap back and then get him to 50 stack and he's just out immediately in GAC. Doing Revan like 1 under Ezra type beat. There's some things I kind of took for granted yesterday that people started talking about in the last like hour of like, does his counter reset? I kind of just assumed that when you reach 50 stack, you went back to 0 and you could just like repeat it. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. But yeah, right. You've got a character who has the passive of like when they attack, they call somebody to assist. So you think about like under JML, if you use lessons on Ezra, then you get a free extra assist on top.
Yeah.
And if Cal's in his assist stance, then he would also assist on top as well to boot. I mean, Cal assists aren't like too much damage, but you would get the neuron activation, right? That's just a lot of things happening off of one button press, and that's really what the endgame of Galaxy Heroes is about. So, yeah, it's a character that I think will have some fun going on, but there are just so many questions right now surrounding obviously what the team he's intended to go with will even like remotely look like mechanically, but also just how his kit works. Is Exile spammable, repeatable? Is this like, could you exile an entire enemy team, or is it like you only get one type situation?
Yeah, the implication that I'm seeing reading it over is that you keep the stacks, like the one-time effect of hitting 50 stacks occurs, and then you keep it because apparently you also gain plus 1% defense and tenacity per stack, so they want you to, I guess, keep that for the long haul. It's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking, I liked watching your stream yesterday, but I agreed that it's like it seems like he has a neat kit, but just like when we first saw Boss Nass, you know, he was the first of the Gungans to be released. It's like, okay, there's something unique going on here with the shield. There's something cool going on, but difficult to see how the whole team would come together this early on. So I take your point. How about the rest of you guys? Floor is pretty open on this one. What do you guys think about Ezra? Any ideas occur to you? Anything inspiring aside from, you know, what Fatal was sharing for ideas about how to apply them?
For me, it's tough to give it a precedent for now. I think Sasha said it, and don't get me wrong. Listening to what Fatal's got to say about it is an interesting take because he comes and breaks out the pad, right? We get to look at the numbers, we get to see the things, and it looks great on doing it. We're not getting him 3 months. We're not getting Ahsoka for, I guess, apparently 3 months either. So trying to give or lend any brain power to what is he going to potentially do? I think he even said it a couple times in the breakout about his kit. He's going to be with Ahsoka, and if we're going to get Ahsoka and then she's out at the same time, yeah, I think it'll be fun. But you know as well as I do, and pretty much anything, I guess minus Maul, when there's a lifter, the lifter goes with the unit that it belongs with because it just makes that team next level.
Is this the first time we've had the lifter come out ahead of the GL?
They're saying that he'll be here in time for the GL. It says
the kid is out before.
Do we consider Drogon to be a Leia lifter? Because I don't know if Drogon's sacred for Leia either.
Drogon, I don't. The one I was thinking more of is like if we're looking at like Cat or something else like that, right? That's the one I'm going with more. Drogon, I almost have to agree with you, Fatal. The Drogon, because he works strong in a lot of places. That tag gives him credence to that. Like, oh, you put him with Saw, man, that really blasts that Saw team out. I think Tash, you saw that what Drogon can do when it's attached to it. So it's like he's got more places, but it's like look at Maul, right? I go to things like look at Maul. Maul is fun to use, and he's got places where he can be on his own, and he's got a cool team to use. And then he goes on the Lord Vader team, and the Lord Vader team just gets lifted up. I will be interested to see it, but again, we have 3 months, so it's tough for me to want to give an opinion when we have a whole quarter before we even get to play with them.
Yeah, I think it is pretty cool though. Like, you know, how you were mentioning how some of these lifter units are very well applied outside of, you know, their intended GL. It is nice that you guys are seeing some immediate, you know, application outside of the unannounced, you know, kit for GL Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a comment here from Dagger. He can't wait to see, you know, the new Ezra make Ahsoka unbelievably annoying on defense. His kit is a soup of keywords, so it's hard to break down exactly what will happen when he has so much of his kit tied to a team, and we don't know who else is getting the tag. It also gives hope for new characters who may be coming out, or who could possibly be in the game from the Rebel show. Dagger saying he doesn't consider Drogon to be a lifter. He was a marquee requirement for Leia. That's fair. He says Cat, Maul,
what about
Ben,
Bouch?
and now Ezra are the only quote-unquote lifters. All right.
What about Bouch for Jabba?
Is Bouch
That's a pretty
really
good
a
shout.
lifter? I mean, she
Yeah,
is
no,
a core
she-
part of the team, but
Take Bouch out of your Jabba squad and tell me how.
You do not do Jabba without a Bouch.
I take that, but what's the distinction
maybe,
you make
maybe
between
the word
core?
lifter is muddying the waters too
What's the
much.
distinction you'd make between
I think
core and
that's
a
it.
lifter?
If you say
So
lifter, go ahead, Sasha, because I know I talked about it. Go ahead.
No, I think and this is semantics, but like if in my head, I kind of draw the line between key ingredient and lifter, and I'm surprised that they used the term lifter this early.
That's a very good
because-
point, actually.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah. And actually, I mean, to that point, so I don't mean to derail because we'll go back to that. But when I just took a quick look at the Ezra kit, which was in the last 5 minutes here, I'm very curious to see new mechanics like Exile. To see, there's so much of the context still to be colored in here, right? Like, little things that seem innocuous. Like I'm genuinely disappointed with most of the ramping mastery mechanics in this game, but they can depending on there could be another shoe to drop. I could see Ezra's increase in mastery make a big difference if there is some ramping mastery mechanic that comes with Ahsoka. Like all this other stuff, I will say, for as critical as I am sometimes on CG, I am impressed with their ability to weave these complicated kits together. So anyway, I'm intrigued with it. But yeah, that's the distinction that in my head between key ingredient and lifter. So
Here's what I want to do real quick. The only thing I want to do is take CG's definition of lifter, not what we apply to characters like Bouch. They specifically defined a conquest unit that's tied to a GL as a lifter, and they define that piece of that kit as making it like the next level, right? I like Fatal's call up for Bouch, and I want to call Drogon. Those were marquee characters.
Core components, without a doubt.
Right, but that's not considered a defined lifter unit. The lifter
yeah.
unit was a conquest character that was attached to a GL. They are calling Ezra that. That would be a Cat. That would be a Maul. Those would be considered the lifter units. So I just want to make that distinction where it's like, I agree, and I like Fatal's call up for it too, but CG's definition, they called them this.
Fair.
It's so fascinating for this to be happening with this timing right now, directly after we get Luthen as a Rebel Conquest unit who is specifically like, under no circumstances, you piece of shit, never use me with Leia.
That's
no,
right.
never. Do not.
Right.
I will implode if you even try it. This is like a year out from Leia's launch. And then Ahsoka's like, well, I could just get one immediately. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds alright.
Yeah, because they technically still haven't given us a lift unit for Leia. They haven't given us a lift unit for Jabba. So it's like, it's true. Rey has one, right? But we still don't have an SLKR one. So it's like, we could still see these be coming out in the future where Leia gets your lifter, and it's like, Drogon is just a cool-ass character who will bat anybody out of the screen, right? Bouch makes the Jabba team, like, next level. And if they get a lifter, God help us, because what that's going to do is going to be crazy. So yeah, it's crazy to think about.
Okay. No, that's good. I see Dagger's typing up something here, but yeah, he's saying we as a community use the term, lifter a lot more than CG has. I don't necessarily disagree about the significance of Bausch and Drogon to their teams, but yeah, they were not intentionally put into the game as lifters. And he's saying, watch Galactic Legend Ahsoka be more like JMK, where Ezra is possibly more important than the GL. Yeah, the Purgle migration mechanic's kind of interesting, and then I had to be reminded by somebody on my Discord about, what is the Spectre tag about? And I forgot about how they use those code names. So yeah. I'm interested to see who else is going to fit in the
Isolate. Isolate is a strong mechanic in the game, and so when you're getting an isolate, I'm going to go air quotes ish mechanic attached to a team, seeing what it's going to do is also really damn strong.
Yeah.
If I can call a ball, I think Ahsoka, either at start of battle or as her ultimate, will exile everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on the board.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, dude. And no instant defeat immunity. So, like, the cat, like, literally called out Cat, right? It said, Cat, fuck down. You don't get to come play right now. Nobody's going away right now. So it's like that immediately. So, like, they're trying to put it strong. And I think Dagger calls it out very eloquently in the statement. Taz, I know you. JMK is shit without Cat.
Mm-hmm.
That is gas food, right? You don't see a Cat on the team. It's like, oh, I'll take my gas and beat it. And we're not talking. We'll beat it reliably, right? Like we'll get banners back. It'll be an amazing fight. It's easy to do. That's just right off the top of my head.
No notes.
Yep. Yeah, get Cat in there, and it's like, well, shit. Ray is non-existent without Ben. Again, 100%. You fight just a standard Ray, it's like, oh, that's just Star Killer food or something like that. You put the Ben in the team, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, shit, and it just changes your fight. So it's true, and that's where. But I also do like that they're tying this in with Jedi. Jedi is a mighty big game to play, right? There's a lot of things, and I haven't got to watch Fatal's thing, but I know there's gonna be a lot of good notes that come in there, and that. Giving it the Jedi tag is like giving it like a Rebel tag or giving it like Empire. It's got a lot of places you can play with the food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, I see Dagger's got one last point here, and then we'll turn to start wrapping up. But yeah, I expect Ahsoka to be very good, but getting Ezra already makes me think that Ezra will be super important to the team, where it just doesn't exist without him. But JMK plus Cam beats stuff on offense, at least, so there will be some modularity. Yeah, I mean, and remember, I mean, there's going to be a whole host of people that are going to be going after this character when it becomes free-to-play Farmville that may not have any real access to actually getting Ahsoka for some time yet. So these folks are definitely going to be pushing the limits for how this guy can be plug and play. All right, any other comments you guys want to throw in on that? Anything else, topic-wise, anything else you wanted to cap on off? Because we're about to wrap up, rather. The beer is good. Okay, well, guys, final thoughts, lessons learned, last comments, all of that. TJ, why don't you kick us off? What's the last thing for the people?
I think we're pretty set in our ways with week 3, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to have is like you're trying to counter off like, what can I stop to Rolo? How am I going to change things up? And that's where people are going to be building themselves up for this. It's known in the community. It's all in the data. The GG is there. So I think this is the week just to look at where you can probably do a quick slip up on somebody, make a couple changes or a couple tweaks that they aren't going to be aligned for. As I'll always do the horror story from what Sasha did to me, damn tenacity, stopping my Tuskens. This guy will never go away. Sasha will continue to eat the poop for what he did to me. But it's those things I think for this week, it's refined. So those tweaks, and I'm really trying to look at tendencies. And I think like Fatal's Ray call was super cool, man. So it's like doing things like this where you think something's normal, you go in with what you're normally going to do, and then you get called out for it because you weren't paying attention to that one key word that screwed you over. That's I think we're at this week.
All right. Good deal. Sasha, how about you? what's your game plan here? What are you looking to do in week 3? What are your final thoughts for the people?
I would say, I'm going to look for other fun ways to shake things up. Like we've said a few times over the last few weeks, I actually think it's a pretty fun meta. And I think some of the wrinkles that are still to be sort of played with or can have impact are with the datacron usage. And if people don't sort of dig down into either their personal experience or the .gg info to find the right datacron matchups, I think that can surprise folks and really change the dynamics of some of the counters and some of the matchups. So I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with that, but I think that sounds like probably a fun thing to explore. And then, it's also when you get late into a season like this and there's a lot of data and kind of some maturity to the counters, it gets more fun to try and channel your inner Fatal and like throw a whole bunch of GLs out on defense and say, hey, I think I know how through, duct tape and other non-meta counters to work my way through stuff. Why don't I create a similar challenge for my opponent? So that's kind of the fun part of week 3 that I'm still cautiously optimistic. It's not going to be a pure efficiency setup. So yeah, still having fun with it. I say that now when I'm like my first matchup this week is against Aesop, and then I'm in with Kabuki and those folks. So I'll probably come back next week explaining to all of you how much this game sucks and why it's broken. So there.
But you are in the top bracket, so that's going to be fun. You'll have at least a couple good matches.
Through some erodiums, but I probably won't be up there for long. But yeah, it'll be this week's experience, so it should be fun.
All right, look forward to hearing about that. Okay, Fatal, how about you? The week 3 game plan and your final thought for the people.
Game plan, I'm kind of just running it back. Nothing really changed except I don't get to do a fun race setup now. I'm kind of just of a moment right now where to Sasha's end, I do think that I could have more GLs right now. I think Bounty Hunter into Bo-Katan against JMK seems like it's just quickly becoming canon for a lot of people. That can free up some budget. But I don't know. I'm honestly kind of zoomed out on the season, and I'm kind of looking at the big picture right now. True Detective saying, do you know the good times when you're in them? And I'm seeing we got 1 week left of set 15.
Yeah.
And no promises or indication of what type of flavor set 17 will bring. It's coming out literally probably any minute or within a couple hours that we'll have our answers. But I think set 15 proved out that it's out. It was enough to hold muster in a storm of set 16 doing some stuff that I think I'm going to miss it. And more importantly, set 17, if it doesn't hit in the right way, we could be in for some dark times on 5v5 for the near future that I'm kind of just man, I'm very introspective on we're at this very key moment of not knowing right now and getting ready for the next season. That I just want to say, shout out to set 15. You were what we needed, or at least what I needed. I don't know if everyone.
And we will be sure to shout out the good set 15 next week when we're wrapping everything up. We will pour one out for the fallen homie set 15. But I'm there with you. Sorry,
that's not scary. I said, but then we'll know what our fate is by then, and that's just cheating.
I hope you'll be optimistic this time next week in what the future looks like with set 17. We'll see.
I could tell you, I'm still putting debs on it that Fato's going to be very happy with his Night Sisters, or the Night Monsters, as I will refer to them for him, and what they'll be doing.
For you madmen that have already, Sasha, that's already put your Morgan up over 350. That's going to be a mess. That is just going to be a mess next season.
It specifically called it out, so it's I'm just waiting. Where I think the meme was given the task, but now it's all right, now Fatal's just going to go ahead and 2-man Jabba, just because there's going to be some other interesting mechanic where it's if you have a Relic 9 Marin, it does this.
And one last question for you, Fatal. How are the kitties doing?
It's been going. It's definitely been a part of some of the stability issues streaming this week. It's one of them was like has been sick for like a week and hadn't really been eating, but then we kind of figured out that they're like on wet food, that it seems like they just don't want to eat kibble, but they're kind of showing more signs of play today. And then I don't know. I mean, the thing that I have kind of relearned that as of like a 20-year ago lesson that I had is being a kitten is apparently kind of just hell, where like their immune systems just go through like one of the worst gauntlets you can imagine. And so definitely having to navigate that to some degree, where it was like, you know, I texted the vet last week and it was like, hey, should we come in? And they're like, nah, if they're eating and drinking. And then texted them again today like, should I come in? And they're like, yeah, you should come in tomorrow. So yeah, I don't know. It's not like it's not horrifically bad. It's just kind of like they're going through some things that they got to go through.
Yeah, you're looking for them to get better and get well, and they're treading water right now. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
going.
sorry to hear that.
It's going okay.
Wish well on you all. Good luck to you and the kitties, man. All right, and I see Dagger's comments here. Sortie is fun. Ezra looks cool. I'm glad we have a window for when to expect Ahsoka, and enjoy the storm that fucked up my week, Tass, with your stupid hat. Appreciate that. And he did miss us here at the introduction. He wanted to include. And I went 3-0 this week, so it's also fun to be back near you guys with proper opponents. No offense to anybody outside of the top 200. All right, fair enough. Gosh, you know, I think when we were talking about favorite attack and defense, I think I kind of blanked out and forgot to cover myself. My favorite, I guess I'll wrap this all up in one. I want to say that against a Rey Swolo with L3 Stormtrooper Han and I forget who, a third tank, I had to use a variety of means to manage to kill the Swolo over many attempts. So once it was down to Rey and the 3 tanks, super cool that Night Sisters just melted them and got me down to a lone Rey. So even though that was part of a multi-shot of killing her, that was kind of neat. Can't tell you the last time I used, Night Sisters in any capacity to some type of effect against a Rey, so I liked that one. And then defensively, damn, I forget what it was. Let me check real quick. I think it was in this round. Yeah, that is rare, but that wasn't interesting. Dig this. Jabba failed against this Queen comp I set with Cam and GK. 1 minute 58 seconds, so it wasn't a timeout. It was a blowout. And this guy has been really proficient with Jabba on offense against all manner of queens. So I thought that was really cool. I assume it has a good bit to do with GK in there. But nice that one actually held. As far
as Cam fellow. Tell me more about this Cam fellow.
Hey, man! Anybody who's been watching the stream, I have been given nothing but props to you and anybody else whose ideas I have shamelessly been applying. Let me tell you something. I appreciate all of you guys that do the legwork on inventing this stuff. It's hard enough just applying it. Not in this particular case. Throwing Cam seems like a cheat code. And by the way, Fatal, I tried to make it work for the longest time with that crit damage and health set on Master Qui-Gon. I just, in a couple months of farming crit damage mods, I couldn't come up with the crit chance secondaries I was looking for to fill in the blanks. So I went back to
hardest
speed
choices
health.
And the strongest wills.
What's that?
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
I respect that. But I think you won't fault me too much because I pushed him back up to right about 360, and he is at 120,000 health. So the boy's a banger, especially with Cam.
I'm gonna be honest, mine's at like 280 speed. I kind of don't give a shit about his speed. But the thing that I think is like kind of beautiful about the set 16 dynamic that's happening for Amidala has just been like a really fun ground zero for a lot of theory crafting lately. Looking at this screenshot of yours right now, there are a lot of people who are only running POW as their damage dealer, as their only attacker, and they're running support Kron. So they are running single attacker for support. And we talked about it. We talked about this specifically last week, where Jabba has a really good tool set specifically to take down POW. But if you were running it for a support setup like that, I think your team probably loses. But because this is something I keep coming back to, is because you've got the diversification of threats that their Qui-Gon, even if he's modded not for damage, he will still be doing damage courtesy of Cam.
Yeah.
And you've got Cam as another attacker taking notes on all the debuffs that you've made. That right? They did the thing that like any average player looks at Amidala team, it's like, oh, we got to get POW out. POW is a problem. And it's like, no, man. I think the long-term key to Amidala is really about that diversification of threats, even looking past set 16, that I think this kind of highlights that dynamic beautifully.
So you think like the Giga team for week 3 is like Cam Shock?
Honestly, like all this sortie stuff, that there's so much happening. Like Shock Echo, I have some greater appreciation and understanding now.
Yeah.
GK is an interesting idea in itself too. That like honestly, I might play with that because I was running Shock, and I think my team did actually go down to sortie at one point, even with 400% defense.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
like,
my pro tip for your queen is if you're running set 16, it seems like stat block wise, defense is just, I mean, I guess that's not, that's perfectly intuitive that defense would be the best, but
my team got beaten even with the God roll defense. That like, okay, it's kind of signaling that like, yeah, Shock T 5th with Cam 4th is not it. So GK as a 5th is like a cheat code, seems interesting, but kind of, I don't know. I'm going back to the drawing board a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, Shock plus somebody. There's definitely a few viable options, but it looks like Shock's really proved her worth there over the last couple of weeks.
I will say the one thing I got told, which was good having a guildmate that we faced, GK on the team, you just need to have the savvy opponent, is what it felt like. Because RMC gave me feedback, which is always appreciated. I always like getting to know where I can strengthen or tone the team. And GK, it felt like, as he said, he timed his attack just right to avoid what would be the immunity to stop it, so that when he did the blast, it was full impact. He was avoiding what the additional buffs could apply, and that's what he told me he did. Was the big thing, and he got through it. But again, as we saw, super fast Bad Batch Echo stopping the bullshit, and then with the Shock T. Again, this is 15, not 16, but I think the application still applies. That combination really set it up for a hard stop. And I think that's why it lends to what Dagger was doing with the GMY and some other checks that were not going into account. I like the crit avoidance. I didn't do that. I went with the super fast Shock. But having the crit avoidance on the Shock as well to help with that, that's cool as well.
Yeah. Dagger, who's your miracle 5th that you would have with Queen this week? I see you're sharing some notes here in the chat. Dollars to donuts, the Padawan Obi-Wan on my team is what blew out the Bausch and closed out that Jabba fight so quickly. He says he's pretty sure that he blew out a GK with sortie. The buff immunity hurt it, which makes sense. You don't get your crit immunity. And then he did crush a Shock Bad Batch Echo version with sortie this week. So if you're trying to jam that up the best you can, Dagger, who's your miracle 5th? We'll see what he has to say. Come on now. Don't be shy.
It does feel like this week is going to be about like, right, this is very much like you block the body, you get hit in the head, you block the head, you get hit in the ribs or whatever.
Right.
Or like, there's going to be some degree of trying to look for a combination that can do a serviceable job of interacting with all three directions. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, you're saying it doesn't seem to matter. You fought it with Xeris, but if your sortie team is clocked well and built with a good cron, I don't know if there's anything that can actually block it. All right, fair enough. Yeah, we'll look at, I'm sure we'll all be looking at the data on GG this week, but that's yes. I guess this always ties with one of my regular points is obviously look at your opponent's history the last couple of weeks and look at what their preferred counters are to the Gungans, to Queen. See how they like to do that. Punish their preferences. And yeah, wow, Dare, you said you beat a Queen team that had like 300% defense with it. Wow, okay, man. All right, I have high hopes for this week. I actually have an Erodium here for round 1, so maybe not round 1, but hopefully later this week I'll be able to give it a go. All right, I'd say that about wraps us up here. Before I go ahead and do the sign-off, as our only other content creator here is a part of our regular panel, Fatal, where can the people find you? Plug your good stuff.
TV/Playbook TV. I promise that there's a pretty high chance that I will be live.
Sorry, what was that? Say again?
Twitch.tv/Playbook TV. I promise there's a pretty high chance that I will be live.
You will be live. Okay, good. We'll be able to catch you this week. All right, dig that.
Also, I'll be doing the Datacron theory crafting whenever that comes out.
Yes, we will all be wrapped with attention for that. No. It's okay, Dagger. I see your comment there. You're saying that you get 2 tries to use that sortie team, and that's kind of dumb that you can use that to beat Queen Amidala. That's fair. The more they try to stop you, the less damage they have, so you have more time. Yeah, that's a fair nuance. Having failed with it twice this week, I seem to be the outlier, so hopefully that added speed to Lobot is going to make a difference. But yes, tune in to Fatal this week, not only for his matches, but of course for the Datacron theory crafting. And as for myself, of course, if you want to catch me live, it's twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, if you're watching the Plotting and Scheming podcast here on YouTube, then you already know about my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming. On that YouTube channel, I also upload my VODs with chapters added for easy browsing. We also have some other Swugger-related content there for you. I've got my Datacron set reviews currently live for sets 15 and 16. When set 17 is announced, I'll be getting back with Aesop Rock, as I usually do here, to record a new video, and we'll get his thoughts. As one of the top players in the game, it's always fun to get his insights on where he's going to go, because you can be sure he will have all the options. I've also got my mod guide series on there by you guys' request. Started that a couple months back. Really appreciate all of the engagement and interest with those. And I feel like I might be forgetting something. Mod guides, No, I don't know. I think that's about it for the YouTube. Of course, this podcast is hosted on Spotify, YouTube podcasts, and the RSS link is posted with this. Also in the rules link on my Discord, you can find the RSS link, which you can, all you Apple Podcast users can plug that link into your Apple Podcast account and listen to the show there. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. The mod guide video, not the how-to mod video that I made with Dagger here recently. That is one of the new ones up there on YouTube. Yes, I am saving my materials to make. It is difficult because I'm always trying to push my stuff that much further for the next week of Grand Arena, but I'm trying to hold back, guys. It's all for you. It's all for you in the end. So stay tuned. Let's see. Aside from that, yeah, if you like what we're doing on the channel and you want to support the stream, of course, I do have my Cash App, $Tassinix. And if you like what we're doing, you want to get a little something back, you can take a look at my Patreon. Patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile GAC player, there's something there of interest to you. $5 a month gets you into the Tass House, and you get early access to Plotting and Scheming. So that comes out for public release on Fridays. My patrons get it usually Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, depending on how cooperative everything is getting uploaded. But in addition to that early access there, you get it also for the Datacron set videos and a dedicated text and voice channel where you can usually find me lurking if you want to pick my brain. Thank you so much to everybody signing up here on this page. Andrew, Arj, Brock Thudsteel, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Rays Malvis, Renee Bebe, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens14, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Moving up to the $10 a month tier, VIP Access Plus. That is the patron bundle for me and for OmegaBot Patreon. So if you like those detailed reports I run on my opponents at the start of the stream, that's a feature of the patron level report where I can pull more than just the last 2 weeks of data, have a bunch of helpful links embedded in the report to quickly look up counters, a whole bunch of neat functionality in there that helps me scout my opponents. Thank you so much to Stryker and Esh Sotnikam for taking that deal. And at VIP Access Premium is $15 a month, but that's the double bot bundle. So the maximum raise for your Intel game. You get the Patreon for me, for OmegaBot, and then for Hot Utils, which is the premier tool for your mass mod and inventory loadout management. With a couple clicks, you can move between whichever mode, Grand Arena, TB, TW, what have you. Super convenient for that. Also helps me in my Grand Arena scouting, too. But thank you to Quig, Ibanez, Sir Boss, Funky, Focus, and General Milan. At the top of the heap in Jester's Club Elite, the one and only Nomad's Reaper, one of my biggest supporters over the years, I think the biggest supporter bar none, really, has popped into the stream and dropped hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies on the community. Incredibly generous support over the years. Appreciate it a ton, man. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. First is Yoda Force, one of my original supporters, bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now. He has long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, who does a fine job running interference of our nearly 6-year-old, who is in a increasingly Havoc-based phase of life. So I appreciate her running, interference on that while I'm trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. And of course, to my esteemed co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, thank you so much for once again reserving the time in your busy work, family, and kitten management schedule to produce our show. It's always a pleasure. It keeps getting better. We're getting, I feel like we're dialing in, even better. And I think very soon we're going to field again for a special guest in the in-between episodes. So looking forward to that in a couple of weeks. But yes, thank you guys so much for being part of the show. Couldn't do it without you. All right, and we come back over to the main scene to say, a lot of mistakes made here in week 2, but a lot of changes I made to be better prepared. I hope the same for you guys, and until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.